It's been about 24 hours and my weird resin thingies are pretty much set up. I think I'd probably leave them maybe another 8 hours to completely cure. The thinner you pour the resin, the longer it takes for it to cure. This is just what I read. You know, it makes no sense to me either. But apparently it's a thing, so the thinner, the longer it takes. So I'll probably give these a little more time. I did do 2 of them, and one was a disaster and a good lesson in what not to do. This is the other one. Okay, here's what happened. It was lovely, you know, like the first one. It was great. I put these in my guest bedroom on a couple of tables, only flat surfaces really that I have in my house, and one I had used before. That's what I put this one on. Where'd it go? This one on. And this one I set on another table in there. I thought that table was level. It was not. It is very important that whatever surface you put your resin pieces on to cure is level. And that's just like Resin 101. We know this, right? I mean, hello, it's got to be level. I thought it was level. I didn't check it. And I left the piece there for probably an hour. I went in to check on it, and it was leaning. It had run off of the Teflon sheet onto the table. There was a puddle of resin. Y'all, it was a mess. So I scraped everything up. I just literally took a scraper thing and scraped all this back into a pile. Didn't care what it looked like. I was just trying to get it cleaned off the table. And it did get cleaned off because it was still liquid. It hadn't set up yet. So I just used some alcohol and was able to clean it up. But it was a mess. And then this just got really weird and messy. And okay, lesson learned. Or lesson reconfirmed. Double check and make sure that your surface is level. So yeah, I took them both off the tabletops. I put them on the floor in the kitchen, and I put some lids like this. This is just box lids. Yeah, put them over so that no dust or foreign objects would fall in it while they were curing. I did have one recently that had a gnat in it, and you know, once that gnat's in there and it cures, it's in there. So this is a good idea. Yeah, so this is what not to do. Don't just assume that your surface is level. But as far as the curing went, I think they cured just fine. Let's peel these off and see what we've got. This one, it's got like weird edges over here, which can sometimes be very cool. On others, I've cut them off. Oh, I can feel this still needs to cure some more. It's a little bit sticky on the back. Yeah, so it needs a little bit more time, but it is soft enough to, or good enough to handle. It is still nice and pliable. I used less alcohol than I did on my first one, and it's still just extremely soft. It's still ticky, Shannon, don't do that. So, yeah, I'm going to put this one on a clean piece of Teflon. And this, I don't know if this may be some resin in the Teflon or just some discoloration. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't affect the way the Teflon performs. It just happens after I pour on it, so I'm not sure if it's from the alcohol or the resin or both, but it still works fine, so I don't worry about it. I'm going to set this on here. And I can probably set it on my table now that I don't have to worry about it being on a completely level surface, because it's cured the way it's going to cure. It just needs to harden some more. Okay, and what I do here to get all these little bits off of the Teflon, I use one of my handy dandy, where is it? Oh, there it is. Pampered Chef scrapers. I take this outside and put it on my patio table because when you do this, the little bits sometimes just fly off everywhere. So I scrape it outside, but all of the, you know, loose or resin that's on there, it comes loose and does not ruin my Teflon sheet. So I will scrape that. Let's take a look at this hot mess. And see what we got. Okay. I think this is still going to be usable in some way. There we go. You do want to be careful at this point because, you know, it is still tacky, and if another piece of tacky resin gets stuck on it, and you still let it cure some more, it will stick permanently. It will cure that way. So at this tacky stage, you still need to make sure that no foreign objects fall onto it, but it is cured enough to handle. And yes, it does feel good. It's thinner than the other one, I can feel, and it's not level. This side is thicker because this is the side that ran, and I didn't bother to even try to level it out. But I think it's going to be okay. I'm wondering, I like these holes, you know, when they're like on the edge, because I love the kind of organic edge that you get. But this right here, if I make a journal cover out of it, this could be a problem, right? I'm wondering if I can fill that with clear resin. What do you think? Would I need to redo the whole thing, or can I just fill that in? Because normally, you know, you can't repair resin without it showing. If you have a little oopsie on it, it doesn't matter what you do. You cannot repair it without it showing. So I'm pretty sure I can't pour this to be completely level and flawless. So I'd probably have to pour over the whole thing again. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be bad, right? That could be kind of cool. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I didn't expect to pour more or to do more, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to mix me up another batch of resin, and let's just see what happens. I mixed up another batch of resin. I mixed a little bit bigger batch this time. I've got 4 ounces. Still the same ratio of alcohol, about 16 to 1. That's 16 mixed resins to 1 alcohol. And now I'm gonna see what happens. Yeah, okay, here we go. Here goes nothing, right? Alright, let's pour here first, and then just kind of do this. Make a little border and fill in. I don't know what I'm doing. And is that enough? Who knows? I used probably about 3 ounces. And my cake spreader that has never actually seen a cake. Okay, don't move the bottom. Let's just kind of move things around a bit. Smooth them out. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'll just torch some of these bubbles out, set it aside, and then I'll check on it again in about an hour to see if any more bubbles have resurfaced and to make sure that it's not rolling all over the place. I'm putting it on the floor, which are, you know, like stone tile thingies, and that would really be bad if it got on those. Okay, I've got a little bit of resin left, like maybe an ounce or so. I'm just going to put a few more squirts of alcohol in there to thin it out even more. And then I'm going to pour it on this paper towel, just because. I've been doing some experiments with paper towels and resin, and I'm not really super happy with any of my results. But I also did these before I discovered the alcohol thing. So that may make a difference. You know, I don't know. But I've got all of these painty paper towels, and I need to do something with them, or I want to do something with them. I just don't know what. And so far I still don't know what. But now that got this new resin thing happening, let's just see what happens here. Now this paper towel has alcohol inks on it, and I also took it outside and sprayed it with a matte finish spray varnish. I think the one I used was Helmar, from Helmar. I just found that when I was playing with paper towels and resin, I had sealed some with Mod Podge, and I liked the way those turned out better because the resin would sit on top of the Mod Podge, and then you get a glossy finish. Whereas if I didn't Mod Podge it, it sunk in and just gave kind of a matte finish. Now I don't know if this spray sealer is going to act the same as the Mod Podge. That remains to be seen, but that's what this is all about today. We're experimenting, right? So let's just see. Let's just squeegee this on here. It's really soaking in, so I have a feeling it's not going to give me that Mod Podge look. Like, okay, it's gone. It's soaked in. And that's okay. I'm just really more interested in what the finish is like once it sets up. I have a feeling, yeah, this is probably going to be like just putting it on a raw paper towel, and it won't be shiny. It's just because it's already soaked in. It didn't sit on top at all. But let's see what it turns out to be like, because this is the, it'll dry, it'll cure soft, and that could be interesting, right? Oh, I just got resin all over my cutting mat. That's not good. I have a Dollar Tree shower curtain that I usually put down when I'm doing resin and alcohol ink and anything messy. Yeah, I just didn't bother today. I was too excited to dive in and get going, so I'm making a mess. And y'all, the 24-hour curing thing is kind of a bummer. I don't know of any other product, any kind of glossy accents, dimensional magic, diamond glaze. I just don't know of any other quick dry product that gives exactly the same results as resin. Some are very similar. Others look exactly like resin, but then you bend them and they just crack. You know, so there's just not something that's exactly. And now if working with resin is not your thing, you have an issue with it, you know, then absolutely do whatever, use whatever kind of product that you want to get a similar result. But it won't be exactly the same. Because I get asked all the time, well, why didn't you just use glossy accents? Because it's apples and oranges. It's two completely different products. They can give like a similar look, and if that's what you want, that's going to work fine. But for me, you know, I'm like turning these into journal covers, book covers for the most part. And it's not just the look, it's the feel and how they hold up. And very few things are going to be as strong as resin, put it that way. So it's more than just the look I'm going for. You can get a glossy, shiny finish with all kinds of, you know, products. But as far as the durability, the hardness, all of that, it's resin is unique in that aspect. So yeah, I'm not just doing this to make it hard or to make it difficult. I'm doing this because this product gives the result that I want. So that is what I have to say about that. Now, let's put this one aside to dry. And, oh, this would be a good time to show you my cleanup process. Okay, yeah, I'll get my shower curtain out for that. This is not difficult to clean up. I do go through a lot of paper towels, but I have a lot on hand because I know I go through a lot of them anyway with all craft projects. So I just wipe. I use paper towels to wipe off excess resin off of my thingies that I want to reuse. Some things are just disposable and I toss them, but I do try to reuse them as much as possible. These little sticks are meant to be disposable. I think they're like ice cream tester sticks or something. I don't know. But if you wipe them off, they're just fine. And silicone cups like this, you can actually let the resin harden and then peel it out. And that's great if it hardens, like in the bottom, it'll harden in one nice little disc that peels out. It's very satisfying to peel out that disc. But all around the edges, and I'm not sure if you can even see, but it bubbles up on the silicone. And it is a pain to scrape all of those little bubbles out once they're dry. You know, if it was just like a film or a sheet of resin that dried on the sides, that'd be easy to peel out. But all these little bubbles are just tedious and not very satisfying to peel. So most of the time, I just wipe out the excess resin. There's usually very little because I do try to get down in there and use as much as possible. But just wipe it out with my paper towel and then throw it away immediately. Don't set it down on anything. Then I spray everything down with alcohol and wipe it again, and it's done. And just about really the only thing that I don't bother trying to reuse are brushes. Sometimes I'll use one of those like industrial glue brushes. Let me show you. These. Sometimes I'll use these to spread the resin, especially on paper towels. These are good to kind of work it into the fibers. I'll use those, and they have a synthetic bristles, which I probably could soak them in alcohol and clean them up and reuse them. I don't bother. It's just more trouble than it's worth to me, so I toss these. But pretty much everything else I try to clean off and reuse because, you know, waste. Don't want that. And as long as you get it before the resin cures, it cleans up very nicely with alcohol. And don't forget to clean off anything else that you may have touched while you had your gloves on. Because, you know, your gloves are protecting your fingers nicely, but they get resin on them, and then you pick up your thing here and it's going to get resin off the gloves. So clean up all of your tools as well, and just a little alcohol is all you need to do that. My torch too, because it gets kind of gooey if I don't keep it clean. Okay, now we'll wait a whole nother day for all this new stuff to cure, and then we'll come back and see what we got going on.